In my experience, I am grounding myself, by the way, with bare feet. In my experience, the most important part of getting through traumatic experiences is to be grounded in the present moment, to stay settled in yourself. And that's why I'm so grateful that we started with the grounding technique, which was a meditation. Embodiment meditation is what I usually start my clients off with, which is a long story. And that is that as I went through recovery, I was able to look back and help those behind me that were coming through recovery themselves. So I ended up becoming a coach and a consultant to therapists who are dealing with clients with DID, which is dissociative identity disorder. Or in my days, it used to be called multiple personality disorder. And just to let you know that the kind of abuse that I received created, I stopped counting at 52 and began integrating all that information that they were providing to me in order to be able to function in life as a onesie. I call y'all onesies. Well, now I'm a onesie myself, and it was a long process. It wasn't easy. It was painful at times because we do walk through hell. And there's a country song that says, "If you're standing in hell, keep on walking." Well, if you're standing there, you can create your own drama by standing there, or you can keep on moving. So my choice was keep on moving. And I'm glad I did. One of the grounding things that I do that is very important to me is I keep positive reminders around myself that are grounding. I have positive sayings on my refrigerator, and you all received one. If you didn't get one, would you please raise your hand? Ooh, all the way at the back. Okay. Can you pass these back there? Over that way too. Thank you. This is the part of this that I really like is the part that says, "Let it be easy," because we can all make our lives hard. My life was hard from the beginning till 40 years old when I landed in a psychiatric ward. And then it began getting easier, even though it was harder, if you understand that. I look at putting my life back together as a quilt, making a quilt. And the reason that I gave these to you is that you use them by writing an affirmation on the blank side. And then when you're just kind of going through your day and you think about that affirmation, you look at it and you say, wow, that's pretty cool. And you put that piece of thread through that hole. And all through the day, you put it through another hole. There's a song that Karen Drucker wrote. It's called, and I'm just going to sing you that song. I can't really tell you what it is. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. That meant a lot to me because after 5 years in therapy with an excellent therapist, after I left the hospital the first time, she died very suddenly. And I was able, with the help of her friend, who became my new therapist, to go into her office and sing that song, which meant so much to both of us. And so I sang it to you because it's very connecting. It means a lot to have connection. We were talking about that earlier, and we've talked about it in other ways. So I need my book, my books. When 1997 passed, I went to a conference for those of us who have had ritual abuse, which is mine, and mind control. I've also been trafficked. And they said, write something, get out there and write something, because in '88 there was nothing out there for therapists to know about dissociative identity disorder. And at that time, the only thing that anybody knew about dissociating is Sybil. So that was my first book. And I'm going to just read you a very short, boy, am I shaking. Whew. The pages are falling out. This is called When the Dust Settles. This long war began when I was born. I bear a variety of scars to prove it. No hot muskets fired and no loud cannons roared. There were no knives raised in hand-to-hand combat. But stumbling through infancy, childhood, and my teens, I learned to pick the enemy out of a crowd. My survival depended on it. The war zone was within the boundaries of my home, and my paltry army was soundly defeated and taken captive very early in the first battle. We fought as well as infants could, crying and wailing, kicking and screaming, but the enemy was much stronger. Some of my soldiers became decorated heroes, surviving cruel and inhumane battles. A few deserted our united front, succumbing to the brainwashing and torture. And still others split off from the main unit, waiting for the war to be over so they could rejoin us and be whole again. Now, after 42 years of prisoner of war camps and torturous fighting, I've taken command of my troops again. Part of us have grown up strong and able to win. We're ready to forgive those soldiers who deserted and welcome with open arms those who split away. We are gathering strength to finally win. When the dust settles and all is clear, I have to hope that there will be peace, that all of my army will be united. I've never known this peace. All I have known is surviving each battle for today, regrouping, counting losses, and waiting for the next skirmish. I have to believe that we will know serenity, and that there will be something to believe in besides the strength of my army and our will to win. I have to hope that some of the spoils of war will be energy, spontaneity, and direction. I need to believe I will have a passion for life. So in 2000 and when I should look in here. Well, anyway, later, my second book I wrote. I'm not really good with time, okay? Time is relative anyway. So this is called All Together Now, a multiple story of hope and healing. This is actually a remembering, a memoir, if you so want to say, but it's actually something that's used to heal. This is my story, and it isn't the complete story, but it is part of my story, and it tells in somewhat detail. If you get triggered by drawings, there are drawings by my alter personalities in here. And there's always at the end of the chapter, there's an affirmation. It's going to be okay. Which brings me to that. It's going to be okay. When I was 3 or 4, time is relative, right? My mother took me into a department store, and right in front of me, as we were checking out, I had never seen so many lights and so many cool things. There was a little yellow rubber ducky that was nestled inside a bunch of other toys. And that little rubber ducky spoke to me and said, "I know it's hard right now, but it's going to be okay." My mother didn't buy me that rubber ducky. I never expected her to, right? But I remembered him all my life. And on my 70th birthday last month, I put that on my arm. Her name is Hope. So, I don't know, I had notes, but I didn't say any of it. But, yeah, maybe I should take a note out here, huh? But it was because of people like you that I survived. I went into the hospital, and I'd had a hysterectomy, but after the first or second day, I was bleeding. And I was told by professionals who believed me that I was having a body memory, that you don't normally do that when you've had a hysterectomy, but you are letting go of all that which you came in here with. This is the first step. And I was like, whew, if that's the first step, whew. So what they did is they asked me, what happened to you? You know, I see that you're having difficulty. What happened to you? So earlier this year, I saw Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Jean Perry on a 60-minute segment talking about trauma-informed care. And it was like a light bulb went up in Oprah's head, like, wow, really? Trauma-informed care? It happened right after the 17 students and people were killed in that school in Florida. And everybody was saying how terrible that guy was that killed everybody. And they got together and said, I wonder what happened to him to make him do that. You know what? I wasn't born multiple. He wasn't born a killer. Something happened to him. So that's where, let's see, oops, wrong way. Okay. I had to trust others who said it could be done, that said I could heal, that said I was okay. And so my option was to keep on walking, and I did. I walked through and I said, faith is taking that first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. We do it every day. We don't buy one egg. We buy a dozen, you know? We don't have one pair of underwear. We expect to be here tomorrow to wear them, right? So I'm saying that indicates the human ability to have hope. That's hope, that we have that faith that we're going to be able to eat a dozen eggs over the course of the next week or so and wear another pair of underwear. So we have actions toward healing and thriving. And those are, I hate to point out everything because I know when I went to a conference not long ago and somebody stood up there and went like this on everything they were pointing at, I was like ready to walk out of the room because I said, you are just getting me triggered. So I'm not going to point to them, you can read. But for me, it was real important to see that there were people in my life that could help. And you all are part of that solution. There was one, my therapist, Harriet, who died after 5 years. A 12-step program became very important to me. I found out while I was in the hospital that my father was an alcoholic. Didn't know that because I never saw him drink. But you know what? I never paid attention to that because I was always trying to find a way not to be raped by him. So it didn't have anything to do with whether he drank or not. It had to do with, where's my safety? Can I get out of the house without him chasing me, or, you know, that kind of thing. So my functioning at school was also not quite that good. And I think that, you know, that happens when there's a lot of stress. So I went to the 12-step programs. I did the ABCs of the 12-step programs. I wasn't an alcoholic, but That's how it started. I went to Al-Anon, finally landed in Al-Anon after being in CODA, SLAA, everything. So, and another person that I want to really mention is Hal Popinski. He was a professor at Indiana University who had me come and speak at every semester in his criminal justice classes in the Department of Criminology at Indiana University. And I did that for 9 years. And that was the best therapy I ever had. And it was free. He asked me to come and speak, and I did speak. I did. See, I slipped. I said we, because we were there, but I am here now. And so we spoke for 9 years there, and I've spoken at many conferences for survivors. And one of the reasons why I made a special request to be videoed here is because at survivor conferences, they're very skittish about being videoed or being watched. So I've never been videoed except on Fox TV, back when my second book came out altogether now. Or Diary of a Survivor, I'm sorry, my first book. And that was amazing to other people that I would do that. They said, oh, that's courageous. Well, I think anyone who's in recovery for anything is courageous. For us to walk through the day is courageous. To get on an elevator, you know where that hope comes in? You hope it's not going to drop. You hope, you just trust. Trusting, you have to trust. And there's another aspect of it, is to follow, because the 12-step program is so ingrained with higher power. I found that very important for me because when I was 5 years old, I sat on the edge of my bed and I said, God is testing me. This is all a test. If I pass this test, something good is going to happen to me. Well, I kept waiting. And the best thing that happened to me was the beginning of my journey at the psychiatric ward at River Oaks Hospital in New Orleans. This is nature. Part of my spiritual path has turned to the Native American way, and I go to Sundance every year. And that's the arbor at sunrise. That's the eclipse, and that's right outside my back door, that rhododendron bush. Because I think that you have to have beauty in your life, you have to have joy in your life, and one of the things that I really want to emphasize is joy. Because right now, my life is full of joy. I am a life coach, I'm a consultant, I do these talks, I travel. I have a home that I never thought I'd have. And I have friends that deeply love me, that didn't know me before, but they know my story and they think I'm a courageous person. And they believe in me, so that it makes all the difference. If you can get a network of people around you that really know and love you and are willing to let you be whoever you are, whether you're crying or whether you're laughing. And the best thing about it is you can be crying and still have joy in your life. And so my tribe is willing to be honest. We can't always be honest because we don't even know that we're not honest. Willing to take personal responsibility for their actions and words. And willing to speak with honor, commitment, and loyalty to themselves and others. Those are my tribe. Those are people that I want to work with. Those are people that I want to play with. So here we are playing. This one up here, I was 70 years old last month and I went on a 2-mile run. And I finished. I came in last. I came in. That's right. It was a 2-mile. This is me ziplining with my best friend, Debbie Happy Cohen. And over there is my Halloween costume that I made. It's a rubber ducky. The reason that I put this up here is because I'm 70 years old. And I'm actually, I have the most joy in my life that I have ever had in my life. And that last picture of me as a ducky, I couldn't even say that my birthday was in October. for most of my life. Because for those of us who have been raised in a cult, it's a very significant religious month. A lot of ceremonies, a lot of rituals, a lot of killing, a lot of bleh. And so even though I didn't have conscious memory of it at first, I always had that icky feeling about whenever somebody would say, when were you born? And they expected me to come back with October 20th. Like I was happy to say that. And I would like, I can't say that word. But you know what? I celebrated Halloween this year because I chose to keep on walking. I chose to keep on making my life more joyful. I chose to find a tribe of people that celebrated me and that spoke to me with honor. Okay, now it's time for the book. This one is, okay, back to the beginning here. This is a quote from this book. I found that nothing is easy unless you commit to doing it. Then you have a vested interest in succeeding. If you don't commit to doing something to move forward out of the situation or state of being that you're experiencing, then you have indirectly committed to staying right where you are. Your inaction speaks for itself. Contrary to how we were indoctrinated, we aren't obligated to keep any of our past beliefs about ourselves or our lives. In fact, many of those beliefs are detrimental to our health and joy right now. We are intelligent adults with the capability of retraining our minds, and we're in the process of decluttering our minds and even positive self-care step we take. You know, back when I came out as a multiple, I had been told all my life, all my young life, that no one would believe me. And it was a big step to come out and say to those people at that hospital, you know, something bad happened. And then all of a sudden, the whole cornucopia of events came out, right? And I ended up not only finding out that I was in a cult, but that I was multiple and that you all weren't. That was a big surprise. I'm serious, because I thought you just weren't talking about it. I thought we all went through that and that we all had somebody working inside to keep us going, that we all got dressed by consensus, you know. We all had somebody who drove us to work. We all had somebody who made our meals. We all had somebody who worked the computer at work. But then I found out that you all were onesies and that I was, again, alone. So in my crowd inside with 52, I felt alone. But because I was willing to tell and I felt safe in that psychiatric hospital, because that's sometimes the place where you send people, right? That's one of your steps. I felt safe enough to say. And so there are people now who they believe my story, and they can't believe that I have joy in my life. I've had somebody recently, two different people, who said to me, you live in La La Land. You got to get real. You got to live in the real world. I don't want to live in the real world. I live in a great world. I live in my world that has beauty and compassion, love, honor, loyalty. It has all those things. I don't really need to be in a world of anger and hysteria and betrayal. I need to be in my world, and I need to bring you into my world. So my purpose in life is actually to spread the word that you can heal from this, and you can see other people as helpers to that end. I don't know if I have any more. I don't. Anyway, recently I was told I'm too happy, as if they didn't... You know, which is kind of funny, actually, because if they'd been where I've been, they'd be freaking happy they were this happy. You know, they'd be grateful. And I'm a very grateful person. I'm grateful that you all have come to hear this talk. And I'm grateful to my partners in arms here for allowing me this much time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I do have my books, all 3 of them, on my website, deJoly.com. They're also sold at Amazon and PayHip. And I have them at my table out there. And if you buy them here, I will sign them. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you. Oh, yes.
I just want to say, I know you see me just crying, and it's not because I'm sad. It's because you are utterly amazing to me.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.